Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm glad to see that we have a couple faces here. I would like to start off by saying that I would like this to be the beginning of a series for our market center, because I do recognize that a lot of the agents, especially our newer agents, are unaware of what GloverU is and who Jeff Glover is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share the screen so that we can get started and dive deep a little bit into who Jeff Glover is, as well as Glover University. Okay, so Jeff Glover is actually the #1 sales agent with Keller Williams that is also a coach, meaning that he is a coach that is still practicing his business today. So when he shares information on tips, tricks, things that are fail safes that he knows works. That's because he is still doing it to this day in his business. This is just kind of the cover page here is just kind of a little highlight of, what we had going on, some of the fun activities over the GloverU Summit. And Glover University is just a complete training class program. They have training year-round with multiple coaches on multiple subjects. And if you are interested in looking into coaching for them, they do have price ranges that will fit most agents' budgets, and they will fit according to what your needs are. You'll get to interview with a coach. If you don't feel like you're a good fit for that coach, then of course, just like with our max coaching, then you can feel free to interview with another coach on the same area. So there are two major sessions that he puts on every year. The first one is the GloverU Summit, and that actually happens in Orlando every year in January. We do have that already scheduled coming up for 2023. I have information at the end for anybody who might be interested in joining. And then every year he has a summer retreat. This is how at the Grand Traverse Bay Resort in Traverse City, Michigan. I will tell you, I drove this year. It is about an 8-hour drive, but it's not a hard drive at all. And it's actually quite a beautiful drive. So it was a really enjoyable trip. And as you can see, there's a lot of networking, a lot of socializing. You do get to actually sit and talk with some of the keynote speakers. The gentleman in the crazy plaid suit, his name is GloverU. He is an author. He was one of our keynote speakers, and he was absolutely fabulous. And his main topic was, what is your talkability? What are people saying about you rather than what are you saying about yourself? So let's go ahead and get started. Some of the biggest takeaways that I wanted to share with you guys. The first is your Live Unreal formula. So I do want you to go ahead and get a piece of paper and write this down or do it on your computer. To live an unreal life really is to have a life that is so amazing that it is almost unbelievable. So what you're going to do is you're going to start with 4 basic blocks. Your very bottom block, you can write money in there, you can put dollar signs, whatever. Okay, that's your money. How much do I need to make in a year as we're thinking about our businesses? And remember, money buys freedom. It doesn't buy happiness. Money really is the conduit that supports this entire formula. As we move on, I'm going to put an example here. So we're going to say that I need $120,000 a year. That's what I would like to have. Now, moving on, that means how many transactions do I need to have a year? Remember, success leads to opportunity. So what's my average commission? What's my average commission check? How many of those do I need, or how much of that do I need to meet my transactions, to meet my dollar amount? So let's say that I average $4,300 per close. Doing the simple math on that, that would mean that I need to have 28 transactions a year in order for me to net the $120,000 in income. So it's a very simple formula, but putting it out this way, I think makes it look a little less daunting because it's not just a giant formula screen. Now, your third box is your why. What's your purpose? Guys, we have talked about what's your why so many times. This applies to so many areas in your life. What is your purpose in doing the things you do? What is the purpose of your business? Do you want it for less stress, just in general? Are you looking for financial freedom? Or, would you like more means for philanthropy in order to make donations? What are your why? What is your purpose? So I just kind of put 3 little lines there as a sample for you. I will also be sending out this PowerPoint to everybody who's in attendance, as well as we are being recorded. Now, if you notice, when we move from the Y to the top box, there's 2 arrows there, not just one. All of these feed from bottom to top. However, there's 2 arrows here because this brings us to choices. BVOY, being the best version of yourself. I want you guys to ask yourself, are the choices that I am making, with my relationships, or how I spend my money, or, where am I investing my time and my money? Are they going to make me the best person that I can be? And if not, then what changes do I need to make? The whole purpose of the Live Unreal formula is to get you to dig deeper and to get to the root of what it is that you really want in life, not what somebody else tells you that you should have. Again, employee versus employer, right? Excuse me. So, what we notice when we actually break it down to an Unreal formula is that we often put limitations on what we can do. I feel selfish. A lot of people say, I don't deserve it. Do you find yourself saying the same thing? It's nice to touch. You actually are being selfish to not live your best life. Again, if you're looking to be philanthropic, if you are looking to fund your children's education, their college education, by being self-limiting, that's where you are being selfish. So it's always a reminder that you want to live without limits, completely live without limits. So as you can see, we've got what looks to be 2 basic little mountains, right? Pretty simple. We're not, Kilimanjaro or anything here, but which mountain would you prefer to climb?
The smaller mountain.
The smaller mountain. That's what a lot of people say. So if we go back to the goal, 120,000 a year, the actions you will see are in blue, dash. My actions, they get me to $120,000 a year. But when we compare that to the bigger mountain, if I'm not at the end of the year, am I going to stop? Yeah. So the actions that I've taken led me to the summit of the smaller mountain. Yay, I met my goal. But am I happy with this? Probably not. The year's not done. I'm going to keep going. So the actions that I continue to take have led me almost to the summit of the larger mountain. But in the end of the day, if I'm called to be with God, the choices that I have made have led me to not quite the top of the mountain, but that doesn't mean I failed. That means I still surpassed my original goal, and I at least got to, we'll say, 200,000. So I don't know about you, but I originally felt like maybe I was climbing a smaller mountain. And, Gary talks about this all the time when he tells you to think big, aim high. Don't limit yourself. So you definitely want to live without limits. Now, we're actually going to move into a few of the things that I want to go over to make sure that everybody is tracking this information. Now, we know in our monthly meetings, the team meetings, we go over statistics, we go over where we are, and that's really good. But guys, the information that I'm going to give you right now, all of it is available right in the MLS. And you can do this, really quickly just by looking at the stats in the MLS. So one of the first indicators that we should track is showing time. What are the number of showings that are happening in the price range that match the listing that you have, or listings that you're going over, showing the activity flowing. The point of this is that it lets us know how many people are still actively looking for properties to buy. The second thing are new listings. This sounds like a kind of a no-brainer. We should know this, but again, we look at this as far as what's our market share, where do we stand. The whole point of understanding what the new listings are, what are the average numbers of listings per day? that is what's really going to tell you. And again, you can see this pretty close on the MLS. You know, not real time, it's still lagging a month, but it still shows you the direction that we're moving in. As of July 2022, our new listings are still increasing over 2021. Wouldn't know that if you heard the media, right?
Yeah.
But they are. Now, your pending sales, again, these are things that you want to be able to check, because as of July 2022, we are starting, to see a slowing. This isn't shocking to us. We know this. The market is starting to normalize a little bit. And that key word, normalize. I always recommend that everybody use that word with clients whenever they say, well, I understand the market's tanking, or it's dropping, or it's horrible. We always want to be optimistic. We always want to be positive, but we do have to be realistic. Using the term normalizing really is, we're starting to see back to pre-pandemic times. It's on the horizon. Now, the price reductions. This is really, really important, because it's going to help you when you're pricing your listings. As of July, we are starting to see an increase in reductions, not only in homes that have been on the market that we're now reducing the prices of because they've been on days on market are getting longer, but we're seeing houses come on the market at a lower price than they did even in June, May, April, going backwards. And again, this is all pointing to the direction that we're starting to normalize a little bit. Now, the fifth indicator that we should track, and this is a really big one, big guys, is expired listings. And again, as you can see, all of my statistics are as of July. When I was putting this together, August wasn't out yet, so I did go based off of the most current numbers that I had. And as of July, we are seeing an increase in expired listings. When the market was super hot and clients were saying, hey, listen, I'm going to give you 90 days, that's it, or whatever, those are expiring because the houses are sitting in the market longer. So days on market are getting longer. So twofold why this is really important, and one we'll dive a little deeper into in a little bit. But the first reason is, okay, where should you really be setting your contract? We're going to go over a timeline analysis that you should do with your listing prospects. That's going to help you determine what your timeline should be. The other is, guys, if the expired listings are increasing, who's calling? Are they just going to go through the phone book and try to find another agent? Or are they going to relist with the same agent who didn't sell their house as fast as they thought they should? No, this leaves a really big gap for us to be able to go out and start calling expired listings. Now, there is a bonus indicator here. And I know that I'm probably speaking for him, but Todd in our office can probably help us with this information. But new purchase loan applications. How many people are actually going out applying for loans? Now, in the height of the pandemic, that really wasn't as big as what people would have thought, because we had a lot of cash going in, right? A lot of people were making purchases with cash. So seeing what's going on as far as how many people are applying for loans still gives you an idea of how many people are searching for houses. Now, again, that's an application. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're closing on a property, but they're at least starting the process. And we are still seeing an increase over 2021. Excuse me. Now, creating urgency with sellers. This comes into the timeline that we were just talking about. Price reductions are happening. They are going to continue. How low? We don't know yet. Nobody does. Gary already mentioned it during Mega Camp that we are trending in that direction. So the market is normalizing, not declining. Again, here, put it in quotes because it's really the word that I want agents to be using. Is normalizing, just because again, that has no negative connotation to it. Biggest thing is when the general public sees in the media that the market's declining, they need you to elaborate on that for them. They need you to educate them. They see in the media that the Fed is raising, taking another interest rate hike. They automatically assume that means the mortgage rates are going up. The way that it technically works, Fed wants to take another increase. As far as mortgage rates, it doesn't really have an impact on the negative. It may actually, what it did before was it helped to bring the rates back down. So that's really up to you guys, all of us, to educate our clients, because again, they can only make decisions if they have the information. So one way for you guys to see how much we actually are slowing down or normalizing is if you run it, we look at the statistics from January 2022 to January 2021, and then compare it again in June, we are going to see there's about a 10% reduction. Does 10% sound like the market's tanking? It's what the media wants us to think, right? The media wants us to think that there is hurry up, go buy the house before the interest rates go up and there's no houses left. And, so remember, fear mongering by the media is a real thing. We know that. And again, it's up to us to educate our prospects and our clients. So we do see a decline. And again, from January to June, it was about 10%. That is not a gross amount. So, it leads us to the sellers and the sales timeline. It's up to us to build their timeline. So create urgency with your sellers. And I will tell you, you can work this on the buyer side as well. The example of you here is used just for sellers because you really should be doing this in every single listing appointment. Now, I have already laid out a template for this, and I'd be more than happy to share it with the Market Center if you guys want to put it in your listing presentations. If you don't use a listing presentation, you go off the cuff. This is still something that you should have in your back pocket, in your laptop, in your you should have it on paper really, because it's one of those things that you want to be able to leave it behind with us so that you can't just hold it. So you're going to have a basic bar graph. We've got 5 lines going up and down across one timeline. You're going to put a box in at the bottom of each of the vertical lines. And this analysis we're going to do, as of today's date. So we've got somebody who says, that they want to move, but listen, I'm not looking to move until the end of the year. I don't feel like dealing with anything. My husband's got vacation in December. He's taking an entire month off. We're moving to Florida. We don't really care about the cold weather, but we're not ready to move yet. So they're not ready to sign, right? One of those objections that we get so frequently. So in this example, we're going to go through to the end of the year, but this example can be done any time of year. There's a couple little special features right now in the way the market's trending that makes this even more important. And I don't really see that going away. So we'll go over that. But remember, you are the one who leads them to the sense of urgency on why they need to list with you as soon as possible. Okay, so you're also going to have you're going to have little boxes that go across the top. And these are going to be your categories. We've got our start date, which is going to be the day of your listing appointment. So we can use today's date. Then we have the go live, which is, how many days is it going to take you to get the house ready, get it on the market, get photos done, and so on and so forth. Then we have our pending time frame. And of course, in the pending time frame, we've got inspections, we have appraisals, we may have occupancy permits, all of the steps that need to be completed before we get the clear to close. Then we have our close. And if you guys notice, we actually do have a separate category for keys, because one of the things that we have seen happen so much during the pandemic is that we have been seeing a lot of sellers who have needed to do a rent back, meaning they can't leave until their new place is ready, or they can't leave until they find a new place, and can they rent it back for 30, 60, 90 days. So that this time frame can't allow for this. If there's no rent back, you can end obviously at the close date. I always want to say to caution with that though, because how many of us know the close dates? We very rarely keep the very first close date that we get. Something hangs us up. Closing company is not ready. Mortgage company had a delay. So you can even consider the time delay between the close and the keys could be if the close gets moved. So for today's example, we're going to go ahead and use today's date. So today is the 13th of September. Okay, it'll take me about 5 days. So a JLM is going to use you as my client. Okay, it's going to take me about 5 days to get my videographer out here, get everything done. Your house is in such beautiful condition. I don't see anything that you need to do. Obviously, guys, if work needs to be done, this is going to be a longer time frame. But going on the kind of standard that most houses are ready to go on the market. So we're going to say 5 days for me to get this live up on the market. Okay, we are sitting days on market a little bit longer than we have been. So we're going to say we go pending October 8th. That's still not a long period of time, considering that the average used to be 60, 56. Yes, we dropped down into the what felt like single digits for a while, but national average, we fell into the 20 to 30 range. So we are still kind of in there, again, national. So, okay, from the pending to the close, we have appraisal, we have inspections, we have possible inspection repairs, occupancy permits, things of that sort. So we're gonna look at, hey, the close is gonna happen on GloverU. And again, if it happens that day, great. There's no rent back, great. This could be the end of your time frame. However, we already know, Jill, you shared with me that you have a moving company coming, your husband's gonna be on vacation the whole month of December. You're not worried about the cold weather because you're basically just gonna get off the plane and go and then leave your stuff there. So you did not feel rushed. You didn't want to really move till it got into the, till you got into December, right, the end of the year. So you're gonna do a rent back. Okay, that means the buyer is actually gonna get the keys December 1st. So we start the process today, September 13th. We don't technically hand over the keys till December 1st. You see why we shouldn't wait? Does it make sense why we should get started today? That's like a number one question we should be asking. Does it make sense that we should get started today? So this is really what's going to help you guys create that sense of urgency with your sellers. And again, you can do something similar with your buyers. Now, go live could be, you could just put the word search in there. Maybe you're touring homes, you're looking at homes, you're doing viewings. Otherwise, the rest of it's going to pretty much stay the same because the buyer might be asked to do a write back by the seller. So it really helps to kind of go over the timeline with the clients. So, okay, now guys, we're getting into, for me, really, this is like my favorite part. Excuse me, I'm not gonna ask you to try to write this down. Again, I will send this out to you. And I'm going to preface this section on scripts with the fact that, if there are enough people interested, we can do a very specific scripts training class. And then I would even go so far as to do a scripts practice, meaning we could set up a call once a week where we can practice these with each other. So,
I would love that. I second that.
The
Script
point-
is like my biggest.
Yes, the point of the script is not to sound insincere, not to sound like a robot. The point of it is for you to come across, and especially with our younger agents, our newer to business agents, to come across as confident, educated, professional. Sure of yourself. That makes your conversation go so much easier when you feel good about what it is that you're saying. So you want to learn them. You do want to memorize them to an extent, but you're going to make them your own. And by making them your own, I don't mean you're going to change words up. Yeah, you should start to change a few words, not a huge deal. But it's, your tone and your inflection and that really makes it conversational, because the whole point is, again, avoid the robotic sound and become conversational with it. And before you know it, that's exactly what it is. It's a conversation. So we're going to get started. We have just a few here today. I'm not even going to say that I chose the most important. I chose the ones that were short enough to go on to PowerPoint. Full disclosure, being honest, I wasn't going to make a six slide script for you. So, centers of influences and past clients. I have a goal script. Yes. Okay, right? I have a goal. So you can say, starting with number one, hi, this is your realtor Stefanie. Do you have a minute for me? Now, if this is a center of influence, they might not, I might not say this is your realtor. I might say, might leave that part out, but anything that you pass client, you still can say that. So you would say, hi, this is your realtor Stefanie. Do you have a minute for me? Give them a chance to answer. I have a goal to help 25 families in the next 90 days to buy or sell a home here in Pittsburgh. And I was wondering, who do you know that I can help? You know anybody? Do you know anybody who's thinking about moving or downsizing? You can go into some more questions at that point. Can you think of anybody in your home, in your church, family, neighborhood? Always keep a note somewhere as kind of like a mind trigger of where we know people from. We can say in the office, But at the same time, right now, we still know that there's a lot of people that are working from home. There's no employees, they might not even know who their new colleagues are, other than on a Zoom screen. So, you know, don't forget about doctor, lawyer, attorney, things like that. But, who's your church group? Anybody in your family? Is there anybody in your neighborhood you've heard at a, local yard sale, so-and-so thinking about selling? And they might need my services at this time. If yes, would you mind if I gave them a call? Just real relaxed. You're not, oh, that's great. Can I have their number?
Yeah.
Mind if I give them a call? By the way, when do you plan on? That question comes in really, really good. When you're in an area where there's been a lot of recent sales. Because everybody's thinking about it. When you're in a neighborhood and there's been 3, 4, 5 houses in the last year that have sold, everybody in that neighborhood who's aware of their sales starts thinking, should we move? Is this house big enough? Do we need more room? Is this house too big? Are we ready to downsize? Everybody's selling. Maybe now is the best time to sell. They start asking themselves that. So why not just ask the question? They might say to you, oh, I have no plans on moving. They usually say, oh, we're here for life, or we're here for the next 5 years, we're here for the next 10 years. Usually you get a time frame, right? So it's something for you to take note of. And then if no, then you can just say, I appreciate you taking your time to think about it. Tell me, when do you plan on moving? So again, we're asking that question again if they're saying no. And then, of course, you always want to thank them for taking time to take your call and keeping you in mind. Guys, this is a really big one because we have clients and, within every 2 to 3 years, people may be looking to move. Not saying that they are going to at that time frame, but you can start putting them in your little bit further out nurture database. So, and then your centers of influences, people who do you go to church with? I just keep stressing church because it's a really big thing. I will share, the church that I belong to is a very, very small church. And the average age of our congregation is probably about 73. So it's a very small church. It's a very old church, meaning we do not have a lot of children in that church and younger families. We're starting to see a few more come in. But excuse me, what I'm starting to see, and my pastor has been so wonderful as to allow me to share my information in the bulletin, is that a lot of our congregation, they're now widows or widowers. Their kids have moved away. They're now looking to sell their home. I want to be the person who they think of. So, expired scripts. Okay, right? We just talked about the fact that expired listings are increasing. So, guys, this is one definitely word for word. I just want you to know it. I want you to be really comfortable asking these questions. And this is why, again, if we want to do a script practice call, I'm okay with that. I always need help with script practice as well. So, you can say, hi, this is Stefanie with Keller Williams. The reason for my call is twofold. One, to be sure that you know that your home is no longer listed for sale. Question mark, right? And two, to see what your plans are for the property. Like, are you aware that your listing expired? Have the home sold? Where were you moving to? What takes you there? Getting to know them, getting that personal conversation in, right? It's the beginning of building trust. How soon did you want to be there? Boom, then we go back, we've got the timeline analysis. We show them the timeline. Jayla, what do you think stopped your home from selling?
Agent.
You're gonna get, you have no clue what the answer is gonna be, right? You can't even predict it. A lot of times people are gonna say, yeah, I don't think my agent did what they were supposed to do. Because again, clients have these preconceived notions of what they expect from us, especially if we're not drawing out for them what our goal is to deliver. And again, we always say under promise, over deliver, so that we are always exceeding people's expectations. How did you happen to pick the last agent that you worked with? Do you see how this is very conversational? Because you're pausing, and you guys know that I like to talk, and I talk fast. Stress that there. So it's take a breath, breathe for a minute, give them a chance to answer. If they're not right off the cuff, they might be thinking of something. They might be thinking of an excuse, an objection, or they're really digging around like, well, it was kind of my agent's fault, but I know that my house is worth we were asking for it, but I looked at the competition just in my own neighborhood and think we were asking too much. And we didn't have any showings on our open houses. Nobody came by to look at it. You don't know what your answer is going to be. So, then you can go in with, what do you feel they should have done? And again, this is not at all about bashing the other agent. We are always to support each other. We are always respectful and professional. We certainly wouldn't want anybody doing that to us. And especially with the integrity here of Keller Williams, we just don't do that. What would you expect from the next agent that you choose? Go ahead and ask them. What is it that maybe it's a question their prior agent didn't ask them? Maybe they wanted them to do a bunch of things, but they didn't feel comfortable asking them, thinking the commission was going to go up or transaction fee was going to go up or there'd be additional marketing charges or whatever. And then you just come right out and tell them, I'd like to apply for the job of selling your home. Are you familiar with the techniques we use to sell over 1,000 homes a year? Guys, you can use that over 1,000 homes a year because we're Keller Williams. I mean, that's such a minute number, but of course, when you're looking and working with somebody local, they're going to be thinking more local. So it's just a good number to use. It's still impressive enough that they're kind of, whoa, you're working, you're hustling, right? And that's what most clients want, is they want that agent who's going to hustle for them. And then you could say, when would be the best time to show you? Monday or Tuesday at 4. Now guys, this script is all on the phone. You're not even in front of them. But I've read this 100 times, and yes, I can pretty much go through it. Now, I will tell you when I'm on the phone, I still have it in front of me, just to make sure I don't skip a question. And then in between the questions, when you're taking a pause, their answer a lot of times will lead you into another question. So you go 3 deep, right? We've talked about that before, going 3 deep to really get to the feelings of the answer. That again helps you build trust, it builds that rapport, and it makes them feel comfortable with you. So for sale by owner script, FSBO, I just saw JLo's eyes light up, just so you guys know. This is another one. It is huge. Guys, I have been driving around. I'll tell you what I've been doing. I have been driving around. I am taking down phone numbers, addresses, and snapping a quick picture of the house, trying not to be stalkerish, creepyish, but at the same time, if they have a for sale by owner sign in their yard, they should be expecting people to look, right? And then what I do is I don't call them right away. I wait about a week or 2. I drive back past it again. Sign's still there, I'm calling them. If I'm kind of looking for more people to call, I might call that day.
Yeah. But
I'm trying to make sure that I maintain my new dials, my follow-ups, and everything that I need to do on a schedule, so I'm not missing somebody. This is really, really big because so many people during the height of the pandemic decided, I am not paying an agent. I want all this money for myself. I can do this. It's not that hard. I can just get the forms offline, or, hey, my friend's an attorney and he'll sign the paperwork for me. Not realizing that real estate law is different than family law, right? So this is a really good one. And because we are out and about all the time in our businesses anyway, be observant, pay attention to for sale signs. They're not always going to say by owner. You're going to see the standard Lowe's and Home Depot for sale. You might not, they might have a car in the back that's being for sale or that's being sold. You don't know if they don't put it on there. And give them a call. Worst case scenario, if you find somebody who's got I don't know, a 69 Corvette for sale and you've been wanting one, you never know. So with this, again, this is a phone script, and it's, hi, I'm calling about the home for sale. Is this the owner? Oh, okay. Well, the reason for my call is, see guys, I had it. Oh, okay. Give them a chance to answer. The reason for my call is twofold. One, to see if you are co-opting with the real estate agents that bring you buyers. Are you? A lot of times the agents, or a lot of times the clients get the same. Occasionally you will get one that says yes. Okay, and then 2, because we know that studies tell us if you are not successful as a for sale by owner, then you'll be hiring an agent. So my question is, what are your plans if you can't get it sold on your own? Listen, you're just asking, you're not interrogating them, you're not being pushy, right? You're just, hey, what are your plans if you don't get it sold? How long do you plan on buying it on your own? Great. And when the home does sell, and go into these questions. Where are you moving to? How soon would you like to be there? You guys see the pattern of these questions, same as before, right? What methods are you using for marketing your house? I can tell you right now, a lot of people are going to say the Facebook flea market site. Facebook flea market site, if you guys have not looked, take a look at it. There are a ton of homes for sale out there. People trying to sell them by themselves. I'm stalking them. I had a woman who contacted me about the listing that Meredith and I are sharing, and she wanted to know if we could just change houses. No, we're not changing houses. They're not interested. Thank you. Saw her house. It was definitely not something that was comparable. You never know. How did you determine your sales price? Right, guys, we do our comps from your class, right? We see the statistics as far as what is actually sold and what houses are selling. A lot of people who are selling homes on their own are going to put an emotional price tag on their home. And as we know, we all think that all of us, let's be realistic, think that our house is worth more than what it probably is, right? Because we have sentimentality attached. And there's always a cost of that, right? They want to know where John took his first steps and Cindy lost her first tooth and we measured the kids off of the door frame. Are you prepared to adjust your price down? When working with a buyer? Why did you decide to sell it yourself? I mean, rather than listing an agent. There's the reason. It can be, well, I didn't want people tracing it out. I wanted to have control. I wanted commission. I wanted to keep I have to keep as much money as possible because I need every penny from the proceeds. That's a really big one. Especially as we're starting to look at the end of the mortgage moratorium. People are trying to make sure they get every single penny of their equity out of their home because they need it in order to either buy another home or get a comfortable place to rent for a certain period of time. And then, okay, if you were to list, which agent would you list with? It's a good way to ask them if they already have somebody that they want to work with. And again, you can always go back to the previous question that you can use with expireds, number 8. Why would I apply for the job of selling your home? Are you familiar with the techniques that we use to sell more than 1,000 homes a year? So, again, memorizing the script, the point of it is to understand the full content and how you do maintain control of the conversation while allowing them to interject and you dig to the emotions. And that ultimately is what is going to be a powerful phone call and will lead to an appointment. Maybe not today. Don't give up on them. Give them a call back. Check on them. How's it going? Happen to notice that you're still for sale by owner. Happen to notice that you're still for sale. It gives you the doorway in, better than once, right? So again, I can't. And here are some more questions that go with the with for sale by owners. So as you can see, number 12. Are you familiar with the techniques we use to sell homes? The question is there. I forgot this was 2 days, but I apologize. What would be the best time to show you? Monday or Tuesday at 4? Always end your conversations with that question. What or when would be the best time to show you? And then the asterisk there is, remember that when you're speaking with for sale by owners, always remember that the value is not just in finding a buyer and getting the sale, to the closing table. It's something that you do every day. They don't know what to do if there's a problem with the inspection. Who's going to handle that negotiating? They don't know what to do if the appraisal comes back too low. They can't handle that negotiating. So these are the things that you as an experienced agent or even a newer agent, listen, you're licensed, you passed your test, you have all this training available to you, you still know more than they do. So I always want to remind everybody who's new in the business, still know more than they do. So the expireds and the for sale by owners, really, really big, hot topics right now. because of the normalizing of the market. So just listed, just sold scripts. This is also known as circle prospect. Have you heard of circle prospecting? Okay. A lot of agents have not heard of circle prospecting and weren't quite sure what it is. You know, but I'll elaborate. So circle prospecting is if you are working in a neighborhood that you're farming and you see that doesn't have to be your listings or your buyers, but you see in a particular area or neighborhood that maybe 2-3 houses have sold recently. One very recently, as long as there's one, it's been within, the guideline really should be about 2 weeks. You don't want to go much further out than that. So if it's an area that you're farming, you already know what the activity is that's going on, even if it's not your listing. It could be, you know, Jack and Jill's, you know, sales team over at Coldwell. You're still going to know because you're watching the neighborhood. So, you know, hi, my name is Stefanie with Keller Williams. We just listed sold a home. It's not yours. You can say a home just listed / sold. You know, a home you're sold for sale over on, you know, 123 Banana Street. I'm not gonna say thank you to Jeff Glover because he uses Banana Street and the I heard it, I can't stop using it. I didn't want to use Banana Street. So 123 Banana Street. It is 4 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, and it's sold at $249,900. And we know that when one home sells, usually one or more go off right away. So I was wondering, who do you know that would like to move into your neighborhood? If it's a neighborhood that you're farming and you've been there, or it's a neighborhood that you've already held sales in, you can use the word our neighborhood. You know, can you think of a neighbor, relative, or friend that might be interested in making a move right now? How many people do we know, just even in our own lives, that say, hey, you know, my friends, they come to my house, right? They know that we're a fairly, you know, less expensive town to move into, but we're still a small bedroom community. I mean, you know, because you're close to me. They might say, hey, just out of curiosity, are there any houses for sale near you? Like, we've really been looking, tired of renting or whatever. Those conversations happen all the time. Dinner with friends on Friday night, you know, friends are on a game night, you know, your kids on a play date, those questions can come up. You know, I can appreciate you taking the time to think about it. Tell me, when do you plan on doing it? Again, just like it was before, when there's been a lot of activity in the neighborhood or recent activity, it makes people think, should we sell or are we staying or are we? I can tell you, I thought about it quite a few times. So it just happens. You know, how long have you lived here? Where'd you move from? Again, giving them a chance to answer. So, you know, how did you happen to pick the neighborhood? And again, if it's an area that you're farming already, you're going to be pretty familiar with if the neighborhood has community pool. Or like think about Dormont, right? Like Dormont City, but Dormont has that pool there, which is such a draw for so many families. They want to be close to the city, they want to have that more urban lifestyle, but they still want to be able to take Sally and Scotty, you know, to the pool on the weekend, and they don't want to have to drive to like North Park or South Park Wave Pool or go to Sandcastle. So that's the Dormont pool is such a huge selling feature for that area. It is not even funny, and it's cheap memberships to be at the pool. But these are things you ask them what they moved there. You know, if you were to move, where would you move to? You're going to get a diverse set of answers there because maybe their kids are in college. Maybe they've been empty nesters for a while and they're like, you know, we don't think we're really good for that for retirement community. But have you ever seen those new patio homes? Like, it's almost like living, they're brand new, it has a garage, it's showing snow. You know, but I own it, I would buy it. Like, I'm not living in an old age home. Right? You never know what it is. Yeah, I'm wondering about it. When you thinking? Excuse me. So, you know, again, I appreciate your time, and if you would, you know, and if you would like, I can keep you on my list to receive market updates from time to time when a home is listed or sold in the neighborhood. Would you like it? Great. Your email is keep them, this is where you're adding value, right? Every time that we educate a prospect or a client, we add value. And if we are not adding value with our conversations, what is the whole reason why we're using us in the first place? They can like anybody, you know. So this is one that I think is really important for us to go over. It's agent to agent referral scripts. So I've got a friend, or I have an agent, kind of a friend now, but you know, I've got an agent that is in a small suburb just outside of Detroit. Okay, she called me, she has somebody who's going to be local in Pittsburgh. And obviously I got her to look good, and she's referring me. So I don't want to just have like a haphazard call like, hey, Janet told me to give you a call. I understand you're moving to Pittsburgh. Oh, they might just be thinking about it. I don't know. So, you know, hi Sue, this is Stefanie with Elegance. How are you doing today? I'm reaching out to you today on behalf of Janet Smith. She and I have worked together in the past to help numerous buyers like yourselves secure their dream home. So tell me a little bit about you and what you're looking for. Right, you're not starting off. You're letting them know what your relationship is with the referral, but you're not starting off with. So I hear you're looking to move. You know, it's get to know them. Let them get to know you, and you know, in the process of getting to know them, what is it they're looking for? How exciting, and like, again, that tone and inflection, like, be excited if they're, you know, oh, my husband just got a new job, he's gonna be a teacher at CMU. You know, he's been trying to get in there for the last 15 years. Oh my God, how exciting. Oh, wow, you know. So where are you at in the process so far? Like, see, again, it's just a very natural question that comes afterwards. Okay, so, you know, we are starting the process now. Okay, just started looking, getting pre-qualified, et cetera, et cetera. If they say that they just started looking and they don't mention getting pre-qualified, go ahead and ask them. Have you guys considered getting pre-qualified yet? Or are you not quite there? Like, you can always ask that in a question, but just kind of as a reminder that it is something that they should do and that you want them to do. Okay, great. So it sounds like you are just in the beginning stages of getting started. You know, I specialize in helping buyers get most prepared from the start so they can achieve their goals faster with fewer hiccups along the way, right? Isn't that the whole goal of a realtor? So that they're not trying to figure it all out on their own. And we all know how many hiccups that there can be and bumps in the road, right? And who are you working with to help you, you know, with your mortgage approval? So if they say that, you know, in this particular one, yes, they said they're getting pre-qualified. If you ask them and they're saying no, you can say, do you have somebody in mind to help you with your mortgage approval? And if they say no, give recommendations. Okay, ABC Bank down the street is who they're working with. Okay, great. So it sounds like what we need to do next is to sit down and go over the process from start to finish. And again, this is a buyer, but you can insert the timeline analysis here. So I can help you get what you want in the time that you want. Whether you've bought or sold before, the market is quickly changing, and it's important for us to stay on top of what buyers might need, what they might need to do to get their offers accepted in this market. So what day works best for you, you know, for a quick meeting? You let them know who you are from the person who more than likely, Janet would have told them, oh, I'll have my, you know, partner or colleague in, you know, Pittsburgh, Stefanie, give you a call, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. So with this script, you let them know who you are. You've circled back to the relationship that they already have with somebody. So that right there will put just a little bit of trust in you. Don't break it, but you got to build on it. And then from there, you're not getting pushy into the sales. Where in here do you see me asking for what's your price range? You don't see me asking for how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, granite countertops. You don't need to ask that stuff in the beginning. Right now, again, the point here is to just set that appointment so you can get in front of them face to face, and then you have that buyer's consultation discussion with them. So there are only 3 here. Not always the most common, not always the most important. This is definitely one of the scripts, guys. I have so many, so many of the common seller objections. I'm talking about 5 pages. And these objections come from a lot of the top producers throughout the country. This is what they get on a regular basis. Well, we only want to give you a 30 or 60 days. It's a very good chance that you guys might have heard that over the course of the last 2 years, right? Houses were selling in 20 days. Why would I want to have a contract with you for 90 when I know I can get this house sold in 60? And this is where I said the timeline will come back in again later. It says, I'm really sorry, I can't do that. 4 months is our company policy. It could be 3 months. You guys can insert the time frame there for the time that you are really comfortable, because you already know that it's going to sit on the market just a little bit longer than they think it's going to sit. You might have to have a price adjustment even if they don't want it, but that stuff if they don't. It really takes that long in some cases just to get a transaction to a closing table. Does that make sense? You don't want our contract to expire while we're in the middle of negotiations and before we get to the closing table. A lot of agents say, you know what, I don't really care, because we're still working together, so it's still active. Well, really, it's not. It is still a contract. That contract is to protect you as much as it is to protect them. So think of what your timeline is, what you're most comfortable with. I will tell you, I have moved. I was doing 4 months. I've now moved to 6 months. And at the same time, if somebody decides that they run out of their contract with me, chances are pretty good. If it's a problem with me, I'm going to offer another agent to them. Regardless, I'm going to let them out of the contract with me. So, we were thinking about X company, or we've never heard of Keller Williams. Right, guys, we're the biggest real estate company in the world by agent count, right? But how many times do you hear, never heard of Keller Williams? We really are the quiet company of real estate, because you don't see a lot of commercials. I've never seen any. We're not, blaring.
Billboard.
We're not billboards all over the place. And when agents are using billboards, which is awesome, it's usually their name or their team, and then yes, the logo. But people look at the picture before they look at the logo. Oh, you know what? I can understand your concern. And I think you realize a company doesn't sell a home. It's the individual agents and their team's activities, right? Again, somebody is going to choose you because of you. They may have gotten to us because they have heard of Keller Williams and they like Keller Williams, or they've had a Keller Williams agent in the past who's no longer, working. But regardless, they're still going to choose to work with you because of you. They may choose to not work with you, but they just happen to meet, like Jayla, you just met with somebody, and Mary happened to just meet them the night before at a happy hour, right? They're not quite jiving with you, or you're not quite mixing with them. They've got it in the back of their mind. Oh, yeah, Mary, it's such a good conversation. There was a natural attraction there, right? So it's not always based on the company. It really is based on the individual agent. So, let me ask you, do you feel I can sell your home? That's a pretty bold question up front. They don't know you, right? There's a reason why some agents sell more homes than others, and you'd be surprised to know that not a single agent or team in the state of Michigan sold more homes than we did last year. Now, here is where you're going to be adding in yours, because again, these scripts come directly from Jeff Glover because they work. You are not going to be announcing that your team sold more homes in the state of Michigan, than anybody else. But in here is where you can add in that value. You bring in a value and you stress it at that point so that they know what you can bring to the table, whether it's phenomenal marketing, whether you are an amazing home stager. So it's something you're willing to do as a recognition. You're not going to charge an extra for it. You've got pretty much every contractor in the world in your back pocket. Something needs to be done. These are things that you can add in. So again, for the script here, purposes it was Michigan, that's where Jeff Glover's team is. You're going to say something that's true about it. And then here's a big one. We want to think it over. How many people have we heard say, oh, we just want to think it over? You know what? That's great. If I'm meeting with a couple, this is 3 months are better than 2. Let's think out loud. You know, together, tell me, what's stopping you from putting me to work today? That's a very polite way of being aggressive and saying, you know, I want to know, like, if there's something I'm doing wrong or if you're not feeling comfortable with me. People still don't necessarily answer that. But the thing is that's a way for you to have that little bit of aggressiveness without turning them off, without being pushy. So you're being firm, you're being professional, you're being courteous, but you're not being pushy. So, really good job on time. It's 12:59, guys. Scripts. Okay. Here's the continuation. There are so many more scripts that I have available. More common seller objections. Like I said, I've got at least 5 to 6 pages worth of them. Listing presentation script. For those that are not doing a listing presentation, and you want to learn what's the best way to actually walk through the whole process. This is a fabulous. Jeff did it right on stage, and I'm going to tell you, he did it live. He made a call to a for sale by owner. Somebody local in the area said, hey, I saw a sign in the yard. Here's the phone number. Here's the address. On the stage in front of, 1,000+ people, he made a phone call. It was amazing to watch in action. Pricing presentation. How is it that you have the discussion on the home that you're going to have for pricing of the house? Christmas and New Year's week, lead follow-up. That's a really big time, right? Because we know for the most part, if it doesn't close in November, it's not going to close till the following year, right? Yes, we still have closings in December, but a lot of times, if it's not closed by Thanksgiving, it's going to be moving into the next year. How do you follow up? We just had 2 big holidays. Are they holidays you should follow up with? You can also do this with other holidays. I like to do the not as what everybody else does holidays. Like I'm really big on 4th of July and Thanksgiving, because I don't know about you guys, I don't get too many 4th of July greeting cards. You know what I mean? I don't get any. But that's what I like to do because it just helps me to stand out a little bit more. Your sphere and past client referrals. So it's a little bit different than the one that we had gone over before. These are the actual referrals. Once they've given you somebody to call, what do you say to them? What kind of scripts are you guys using in open houses? Are you using a script? Should. Especially if you're lucky enough to have an open house that's busy and you've got 3 or 4 people coming in at a time, they're gonna overhear what you're saying. You don't want to sound robotic. Again, you don't want to sound like a machine with that, but you want to be consistent, because then they realize that you're pretty much asking everybody the same questions, which is a matter of getting to know from, because you're not pushing for how much do you want to spend, you're not asking that stuff. That's held for private conversation. Online leads. So, for example, we have a script for that. A basic buyer qualification script. This is for any scenario. So when you're trying to really determine, first of all, if you even want to work with this buyer, and then is the buyer ready, right? We've always talked about the ready, willing, and able. If they're ready and willing, not able, get qualified. If they're ready and able, doesn't mean they might be willing. Any of those 3, they've got to be all 3. Sign calls. What do you do if somebody calls you because they see your name on the sign? 15-second elevator commercial, right? Like you've got to have something to come back out of that. Buyer's consultations and then buyer's objections. So there are a lot of them that we can go over. And again, I will, as a follow-up, I will put this in the Facebook group that if anybody's interested, we can do a class just on the scripts and dig in a little bit deeper. And I did say that I would give you the information for the summit coming up in January. I am already in attendance for this, so I would love to see a bunch of you there with me. This is the one that's in January. It's January 9th to the 12th. And no, I'm not on a commission. I do not get anything. It is literally that, guys. It was so moving, so empowering, so motivating. And I will tell you, I shared this before we got on before we recorded. I have added 63 people to my active database just since attending this seminar. It's the scripts that helped me. It is the my Unreal formula, building it myself, and knowing what goals I have for myself and my husband are what have allowed me to overcome I don't typically have a fear of picking up the phone, but I do get the humdrum of I'm getting voicemail after voicemail after voicemail. Guess what? I'm gonna keep going. I have to move, I play the game. My coach taught me this when I first went out. 15 pennies, I have a stack of 15 pennies that sit in front of me when I'm phoning on the left side of my computer. I do not get up from my computer until all 15 pennies have moved to the right side of my computer. Those are contacts, conversations. So not a voicemail, has to be engaging. It can be through text. If they get back to you, you're going back and forth. It has to be a two-way conversation. So it's January 9th through the 12th. It is going to be the Omni Orlando Resort and Champions Gate. You do not need to stay there. I do know that they do have a special rate for the hotel. I think it's $279 or $297 a night. And I know for a lot of people that's pretty steep, right? That's not necessarily everybody's budget. I'm staying 8 miles away at another hotel where I got it for a much better rate. And there's like 6 other people that I know that are going and they're staying in the same hotel. These are some of the speakers and panelists on there. And I am going to give a shout out because right here, if you guys can see me highlight it, but bottom left, Greg Erlinger, he is the marketing coach for GloverU, and I'm a little biased because he's actually the owner, one of the co-owners of my team. And it is phenomenal to watch him live. But GloverU never announces who their keynote speakers are going to be until the week before. Any of you who have ever looked through any kind of professional reading are probably familiar with the name John C. Maxwell. He is the absolute leadership guru. He is the #1 New York's best-selling author, coach, and speaker who has sold more than 24 million books in 50 languages. Often called the country's #1 leadership authority, Maxwell was identified as the most popular leadership expert in the world by Inc. He is one of our keynote speakers. I am girl crushing John Maxwell, seriously. So as soon as I heard that, I literally got everything registered that day. But I do encourage you guys to join, and it's not that bad of a drive. People on the drive versus fly are cool. Find a way. This really is going to be the best investment that you guys make in yourselves and in your businesses. If you happen to see, and I will share them when I know that they're going on, GloverU does also do half-day sessions around the country. I have gone to, in June, I have gone to Jeff's program, half-day program in Cleveland. That's 2 hours and 15 minutes away. That's not a bad deal, right? And it was how to have 25 clients second half of the year. I haven't exactly had 25 clients yet, but I did have 63 people in my database who are in that 6 to 18 month range. So they're active nurturing. So that's good. But so that's it for today. But again, I'll follow up if anybody wants to do a special script class, and we can go into all of it in more detail. But I'm available if anybody has any questions.
Will you email the